Happy holidays and welcome back to Smile by Holly. And I'm Holly. Welcome, welcome. It's great to have you here. Thank you for joining me. So today we are continuing on with our 4-part series of Christmas Advent calendars. And today we're making a book box Advent calendar. Okay, so before we get started, I just wanted to tell you, a lot of the projects that I make are just super simple and easy. And not that this project isn't easy. It is easy, but it does take a little bit of time. We are going to be making 24 of these cute little boxes to put in our book box Advent calendar. So, just allow yourself the time because it is a little bit time consuming. But oh my gosh, the end result is over the top, darling. So let me just jump right in. What we're going to be using today is I found this cute paper pack. I got this from Hobby Lobby. And if you're looking to make Christmas projects, a lot of the Christmas crafting supplies are 50% off. And that's almost all the time, starting from November on. So where this was like $12.99, I got this for, half off. And I think that's such a great deal. I also got these number stickers from Hobby Lobby. Once again, they were 50% off. So great deals on crafting supplies at Hobby Lobby. Alrighty, so are you ready? This is going to be so much fun. I think what we will start out doing is I'm going to show you how to make our basic box for this project. Now, once again, you need to make 24 of these. All right, so let's start off. Now, what I've got is I've got our piece of paper. I've also got like a visual of how we will be cutting this and then an actual cutout to help you so you know how to assemble your box. Now, one thing I decided is I wanted to make my boxes so that they were all in one piece. Okay, this is an all-in-one piece box, which I thought would be a little bit easier than having a top and a bottom. Otherwise that's a lot of pieces. So I have made this box so it's just all in one, which will, I just think it'll be a little bit easier. So I'm just going to move this off to the side. And what you'll want is 24 pieces of cardstock that measure 7 1/4 by 5 7/8. So if you want, go ahead and get all your cardstock cut. And then you'll want to bring in your scoreboard. So here we go. I'm going to bring in my scoreboard. Now on the 7 1/4 side, we want to score at 7/8, at 3 1/4, at 4 1/4, and at 6 5/8. Alrighty, now go ahead and turn your paper to the 5 7/8 side, and you will want to score it at 3/4, at 1 3/4, at 4 1/8, and at 5 1/8. Okay, now you can do it a couple ways. You can go ahead and take your paper and score all 24 at one time. That would probably be the easiest. So right now I'm just going to show you the basic on how to make one box. And then you can either pause the video or put it on hold while you go ahead and make all 24 of your boxes. But let me go ahead and show you how we are going to be cutting our boxes. I'll bring in my visual guide here and let me just kind of explain this. This is what our box is going to look like once we have it cut out. Okay, let me flip it so you can kind of see. Now, where I have the X's, that means you're going to cut out your boxes. On video, it's really hard to see all those score lines. So I'm hoping that by doing this little kind of demo sheet will help you so you know where to cut. So it's cut, 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 okay? Now, where you see the dark triangles, that's where we're going to miter in on the corners of our boxes. Okay, so I hope that helps. Let's go ahead and we'll just start cutting and you can kind of follow along. I'm going to just quickly fold this so that I can see my score lines a little bit better. I think it will help for when I go to cut my lines. Okay, we'll bring in my paper so you can kind of follow along. So these two bottom boxes right here, cut, 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 cut. So let's go ahead and get those cut out. You want to just cut it right up to the score line. Okay. You know, these boxes, like I said, it's not that they're hard. It just takes a while to make 24 of them. Okay, now you can see our X's right here. We're going to cut these two boxes out, okay? I guess I could have cut that all out at once. I just am trying to go slow in hopes that I don't lose you as we're making these boxes, okay? So cut, 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 and cut. Okay, so far you can see how our box is looking like our finished one. We've cut out all 4 of those squares. Now let's cut out one more box, this one and this one. So how are you guys doing? You know, I am so excited to show you this advent calendar. Actually, you know, I had seen it on Pinterest and I thought, wow, that is really cute, but it's a lot of work. But when I saw the end result, I'm like, okay, that was worth it. So I really think that the time you put into making this, you will be very pleasantly surprised. Okay, so you can see that it's looking like this one, okay? Now, the one thing is we do need to cut 2 slits. One slit here on both sides. So I'm going to just cut up that score line and cut up this score line, flip my box around, cut up the score line, and cut up the score line. Okay, now this is where we are going to, do you see my little triangles? We are going to miter in all of our corners. That's going to help our box fold in easier, okay? So right here, we are going to, if this is here, we want to miter this corner and then this corner, okay? So just kind of cut some of that excess off. I just left those little pieces on so you could see what I'm doing. Just cut that little piece off and that little piece off. It just helps so that your box folds, you know, a little bit nicer. So I'm going to miter these corners. And then miter this corner and this corner. I'm just going to go ahead and get all my corners mitered. And feel free, we'll look at the demo when I get done and I'll kind of show you what I did. Miter and miter. Okay, so here is our finished one. Looks like our other one, right? There you go. And here is, let me get it the right way, and there is that. Okay, so we cut, we mitered, we made our slits, and our box is ready to put together. So I hope that was easy and a little bit more clear. Like I said, when you're doing video, it's hard to see those score lines. So I thought that this was probably a good way to do it. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and just fold and burnish our box really good. And then we'll start to glue. Okay, just folding all those in. You can already kind of see that it wants to make a box, right? Okay, so let me show you where we're going to be putting glue. Move that over. So we want glue on these 2 tabs, 1, 2, and these two tabs. This is going to fold up and in. Okay, does that make sense? So fold the tabs in so the glue is on the outside of your tabs. Now, you could use hot glue, you could use tape like I'm using, Tombow mono adhesive, you could use regular glue. All of that works. Now, another thing we're going to be doing is we're going to, on the inside of these tabs right here and here, we are going to add adhesive. And it's just easier to get the adhesive down now before you start folding your box. Okay, so what we're going to do is these two sides are going to fold up, and let me just show you. I'm sorry, it's hard to see, but that goes in and just hooks right there in the corner. This corner is going to come in, and you just want to make sure it forms a good box. You see that? I'll bend those back so you can see. So here's our two pieces with tape. Just bring that in, line it up so it's a nice clean edge right there. Line this one up so it's a nice clean edge. Now, these are our pieces that have the sticky tape on them. They're just going to fold down and over. Okay, once again, the sticky tape down and over. Voila, there's our box. And this just folds down and inside. Okay, so I hope that was clear. Once again, you'll want to go ahead and make 24 of these. So now the piece, let me see if I can lift this off. This piece, I went ahead and made all of my boxes, and then I cut 24 pieces out of this cute Christmas paper. And this is measuring 2 1/4. I think it's 2 1/4. Let's see. Yeah, it's 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. Okay, and I just centered that right on my box. And then I went ahead and put my 1 through 24 stickers on top. So if you need to, like I said, you can pause the video, go ahead and get all your boxes ready, and then we will start to assemble the base of our book. Okay, so we are ready to start the assembly of the base of our book. Now let me bring in my chipboard. I have already cut my chipboard. But let me go ahead and lay it out, and I'll show you how this is going to assemble. So you will need 2 pieces of chipboard that are 8 1/2 by 11. Okay, 2 pieces. And then for your spine, this is going to be 2 1/2 by 11. Okay, so that's for your chipboard. Then you'll want to decide what pattern of paper you want for the outside of your book. Now for the cover, you'll want 1 piece that is 12 by 12, and hopefully you have like a book of paper, or you buy 2 of the same, because it does take 2 12 by 12 pieces. So the first piece is 12 by 12. The second piece you'll want to cut down to 12 by 10. Because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be overlapping them by about 1 inch. So there you go, 2 pieces, one that's 12 by 12, one that's 12 by 10. Okay, and then for the inside cover, I have chosen just to use a plain white cardstock. You know, I didn't want a pattern paper to detract once I got all of my boxes down. So I'm just using a plain white cardstock, but you could try a pattern and see, you know, what that looks like. So you'll want 2 pieces for the inside cover, one that is 12 by 10 3/4, and then one that is 7 7/8 by 10 3/4. And this is just going to cover the inside nicely. We're going to overlap it by about 1 inch. Okay, so bring in your outside cover pieces, okay? And we want to adhere them and just have them overlap by about 1 inch. Now, how you can tell, go ahead and lay your cardstock out, and you want just a tiny little bit of space on the between these two, okay? Now there's obviously going to be a little bit more on the outside here. And unfortunately, when we go to wrap this, you can tell there's not a lot of room to wrap it, but I didn't want to go larger than a 12 by 12 piece of paper. So we're going to make this work, okay? But just go ahead and kind of lay out your chipboard so you can get an idea of how it's going to work. Okay, that looks good. Do you see the base for our book? I'm going to go ahead and add some adhesive right on the edge. Like I said, we want this to overlap by about an inch. Now, as you're assembling your base, don't skimp on adhesive because you do want this to be nice and strong because we're going to have 24 boxes, you know, that are being held together by this. So if anything, I would go a little bit more on the adhesive just to make sure that you have a good hold for the outside of your book. Okay, I'm just lining my paper up with the lines on my mat so I can try to keep this nice and even. Those lines really, really come in handy. Okay. Once again, this is the outside base, okay? Now we'll bring in our chipboard, and today I'm going to be using this double-sided heavy-duty tape. Once again, you want a good hold. I'm going to go ahead and put the adhesive all over my chipboard, and I'll put this on fast forward, and then we'll go ahead and start to assemble our base. Okay, so this tape is super, super sticky, but it is going to give us the hold that we need. I'm just going to fill in on some of these spots that I didn't get the tape down on. Once again, I'm going to make sure that my paper is lined up on these squares so I can try to get this as even as I can. Now, as I lay this down, I'm leaving the same distance of paper from the top and the bottom. Okay, I'm going to push that down. And we'll add our spine, and you just want to leave a little bit of a gap there. I'm going to stand up because I want to make sure I get this straight. Okay, sorry, my head was in the way. Okay, get that pushed down real good. Okay, so now we are just going to miter our corners right here and get some tape around the outside, and we will fold this in. Before I do though, what helps is to kind of train your paper. I call it training your paper, is to kind of bend it around that chipboard so that when you do go to add the tape on, your paper doesn't crack. You know, if your paper's a thick cardstock, it could very well crack, and you don't want it to crack. So I just like to do this a couple times so that the paper starts to know how it's going to go. That sounds funny, training your paper, right? But this really does help. So take a little bit of extra time to kind of train your paper. I'm also going to take my brayer and just push that down to make sure that there aren't any bubbles. This is such a handy little tool. Oh my goodness. Comes in just so handy, and especially when you're making mini albums. Okay, so let's go ahead and get some adhesive around the edges, miter our corners, and then we'll be ready for the inside cover. I'm just going to once again put it on fast forward as I do this. I'll be back. Okay, so as you can see, I just took out a little bit of that extra material on the corners, so this will fold down and around, you know, a little bit easier. And I'm going to just add my adhesive on here. And then fold that down and over. Now, like I said, it probably would have been nice to have a little bit more material to wrap up and over, but that would have made it so that we would have needed to go larger than a 12 by 12 piece of paper, and I didn't want to do that. So we're making it work. But you can see that that's just a little, you know, tiny bit of paper that you have to work with, and generally I do like to have more, but this is going to be just fine. I'm using my brayer to get that down nice and good. Another thing that helps is to take your score tool and just score right along the edge. That will help so that your paper, you know, folds a little bit easier. And right here where we're going to be folding our book, go ahead and put your score tool in there and get a good score along that line. Now I'm just going to slowly fold my book. There we go. And there we go. Look how cute. This is going to make such a darling little album. And once again, I've got my 12 by 10 3/4 and my 10 3/4 by 7 7/8. We just want this to basically cover that inside. I'm going to flip that over so you don't see the writing. And I think I'll overlap this by about an inch. See how that just covers it basically perfectly. So because I want this to hold good, I'm also going to use some of my stronghold tape. I'm going to layer this down and then I'll be back. So we've got all of our score tape down, and I'm going to stand up to make sure I can get this on good. And you just need to slightly overlap it, okay? And as I'm doing this, you want to brayer to make sure you don't have air bubbles or air pockets. Okay, so we've got our paper down and we are ready to put our boxes. And what I like to do is I like to line up my boxes before I glue them down. Now, if you've seen any tutorials on this, a lot of people actually use a template to know where to place their boxes, and that just seemed like a lot of extra work. I am just going to eyeball it and get my boxes down, you know, as good as I can, rather than make a template. And I think it's going to work out just fine. So this is how it's all going to line out up. Isn't it just so cute? Okay, so that's how our book is looking. I'm just going to go nice and slow so I can line these up straight. I'm going to get these all hot glued on, and then we will take a look at our finished project. Okay, so the base and our boxes are done. Now we just have the fun part of decorating. So I'm thinking I'm going to add some stars just down the middle of my spine. I got these stars also at Hobby Lobby, and it just kind of fills in that middle part. What do you think? Do you think that looks okay? Yeah, I think it looks fine. Okay, so we've got some stars. Now to decorate the front. Now I have made this 3D bow. I love this bow pattern. In fact, I am going to be doing a video on how to make some cute tags, and they do include this fun little bow. So watch for that video to come out. But yeah, I think that bow, it's big. It kind of fills in the space. This was just a little ornament that I got at Dollar Tree, and I've glued him in right in the middle of my bow. So I think we'll just add this on here. And I'm not sure if we want to put Merry Christmas or just Merry. I think we'll just put Merry. What do you think? Yeah, and we're just going to put Merry. Okay, so our book advent calendar is done. And oh my gosh, I think that bow just really ties it in. Well, of course, you know me. I love bows. But that's really, really cute. And there is our cute book advent calendar. Didn't it turn out so cute? I mean, and that's a pretty good size box, you know, for a little treat or a surprise. I really think my grandkids are going to love this. So even though this wasn't like super quick, I think, you know, the work that we put into this fun Advent book was well worth it. So what do you think? Hey, if you like this video, give me a big thumbs up. I would also love to have you subscribe to my channel. So happy Christmas crafting. Stay tuned for my last video on Advent calendars coming up next. Happy crafting. Bye-bye.